Are we a lost civilization?
What was the pain that gave birth to this novel? How did you maintain the balance between fiction and reality?
Okay, so next time when somebody says history is not important, please tell him our history is great and it is important to us. We have forgotten our histories, we have forgotten our heroes who sent the biggest commander with 30,000 strong army to crush the 20-year young kid. Why was this not told before?
Hi guys, I'm Amrut Deshmukh, your booklet guy, and recently I read this book, The King Shivaji Chronicles, and I fell in love with the stories, the historical stories in this book so much that I could not resist to meet the author himself, Mr. Sandeep Shedke. And I'm glad he's here in Booklet Library today. So thank you so much, Sandeep.
Thank you, Amrut. Thanks for inviting me here. I am myself an admirer of your mission to make India read. So it's great to
Thank,
be here with you and your elite audience.
thank you so much. So this is volume one, and the subtitle says Resurgence of the Oppressed. Yeah. Uh, Today we are going to discuss about the book, what's inside the book, okay, your journey about writing the book. So let's start with I would like to know a little bit about the book from your point of view, from author's point of view.
Yeah. So, as you said, this is a trilogy primarily based on life and times of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. This was published in the month of March globally across all platforms. And I'm glad to tell you that within first 3 weeks of the book launch, this was ordered in 15 countries around the world. So that includes, Canada, US, all the countries in the Europe, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and also across India, right from Kashmir to Tamil Nadu and Gujarat to Bengal. Um, our honorary minister, Sri Nitin Gadkari ji, have provided forward for this.
I saw this.
Yep. And this has been really, it has been a great experience in writing this book. This book has been written with a mission, more than, being an author. It is a mission to spread this story across the world, not only within Maharashtra, not within India, but it across the world. So this is, if in one line I have to describe this book, this is global historic fiction epic. Epic because it is based on an epic personality. Historic fiction, the book is very, very close to the real history. Okay, it doesn't take any, strange diversions from the real history. But still, I didn't want it to become a history book, and so in so much year, Shivaji was born, and then in this year something else happened.
Not more towards academics.
Correct, correct. So it is built. That's why it takes this fiction form where it is more based on, as you said, storytelling, character built up, dialogues. The events get built. There's a drama, action, tactics, counter tactics. So any reader, whether they're interested in history or not, they will still like to go through it, and through that will come the awareness of our history. That's basically
Now
the
you
objective.
use two words, history and fiction,
Correct.
which are rarely combined together.
Correct.
So that leads me to ask you, okay, you were not physically present when these events happened.
Correct.
Of course, it's
Correct.
part of
Yep.
history.
Yep.
So how do you maintain the authenticity of the event? So what are the resources that you use to make sure that whatever stories you included in this book are authentic, and then you must have added more flavors to it,
Correct.
dramatize it,
Correct.
to make it more interesting to the reader.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you maintain the authenticity? Because the WhatsApp university today.
Yes. Yes. So it requires a huge research. It is years of research. I started this book 12 years back when I was in US. Okay, and then slowly, unless there is an authenticity to the story, as I said, this is based on a great character. There is a lot of sensitivity around this, so we have to be very, very, true to the story. So, it is literally 50 plus books. Not only books, it starts with the Bakhars. Those are written in the older times by the contemporaries. Those Bakhars are available, in certain libraries. I had gone there, read
So
those
what are
through.
Bakars? And
Buckers is basically the contemporaries would write the events the way they see it, the real time events, right? So, for example, Manucci was the contemporary historian who was there, in Shivaji's court for quite some time. So he has written it.
Achha,
And
for him, it was not history; it was current affairs.
for him, it was a current affairs. And there are, unfortunately, for Indian history and for those times, the real time historians of Indian origins, I mean, they have been a few, but over a period, a lot of that information has gone away. But even, the authentic letters from Shivaji Maharaj to Shivaji Maharaj, the contemporary rulers within themselves, all those are available. And we have to read through it, but it still comes as, how you interpret them. So writing history is not about, as I said, it is not about events. It is a perspective also, and that perspective will again come from various, other art forms that you see. So, as I said, for a soul that is born in Maharashtra, your story of Shivaji Maharaj starts in parallel to the story of Ramayana and Mahabharata. The way you start hearing from your parents, and then it comes into, the television, it will come in all forms of art, you will see that. To understand what is real, to understand there would be fictional stories as well, but the fictional stories have to be in line with the character. Okay, you can't insert anything random from your own mind. So that balance has to be sorted, because you need a continuity also. Yeah, you need a continuity. To put continuity, you have to put some fiction.
So let's take for example my favorite story from the book, where Shahaji was taking care of the southern part, and Nizam Shah
Correct.
recently died, and his son
Son.
Murtaza
Correct.
was too young to
Correct.
take over the throne,
Correct.
and Adil Shah had plans to make an attack.
Correct.
Yeah, and he took
Correct.
help from the north, I think from
From that time, it was Aurangzeb's father, Shah Jahan, who was
Shahjahan.
ruling
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
Shahenshah Shahjahan.
correct.
And and the title of the story was The Man of Words. Yeah.
Correct.
And I was amazed the way you created the picture. Yeah. Where Murtaza was arrested by Adil Shah.
Correct.
And just because Shahji had given his words that I will protect you till my last breath,
Correct.
he went back.
Correct.
He could have he was scot free.
Correct.
His son was scot free. Jijabai was free from the clutches of Adil Shah.
Correct.
But he went back to keep his promise.
Correct.
And what a picture created! I was blown, and I could actually see the tent, the horse. So this is what I mean. How did you maintain the balance between fiction and reality?
Correct, correct. So good that you brought up this topic of Shahji Maharaj. Okay. So now, thanks to this movie Chhawa, everybody knows Shivaji's son Sambhaji, right, and his story. But people do not know Shivaji's father's story. He was the first torchbearer of that freedom struggle. And this incidents that you just narrated, not only that it is a true incidence, but it also sets up, that whole values and principles around which this entire freedom struggle of Shivaji Maharaj and his successors, his predecessors were built. Okay, that man of word is not limited to that one story. Shahaji was man of word. Shivaji was man of word. You've seen Sambhaji; he was man of word. So that that commitment, that dedication, that standing with the truth comes in that entire lineage. And in a way, this is a story of not only that particular Maratha kingdom; it is story of India. Those values and principles, being committed, being honest. Today, it comes to us as Indians, as individuals and also as nations from those great characters. So, once you think in that perspective, then you know which areas to give importance to in the book. Okay, and so you can create drama, but those values also need to be highlighted in a way that people would understand subtly. Okay, I didn't say that Shivaji Maharaj, Sambhaji or Shahaji Maharaj were very honest. You see, you read the story, and through that you could automatically derive it. I think that will have a far, longer impression. That's how this whole story has been put forward. I'm glad that people are really realizing that.
Great, great. Uh, yeah, I think you gave a brief idea about the storyline. Um, One question, that what was the I could see a lot of pain in your writing. So, what was the pain that gave birth to this novel?
It's a very, very good question.
Is there any
Again,
personal story behind
no,
it?
no, no. It's not a personal story. Let me involve our audience, okay, into this question. Let me ask them a question. So we have this 2,000 years of history of India, say known history from say 100 AC to 1947 when India got independent. Okay. Can you tell me one turning point in Indian history that shaped Indian history? Okay, I'll give a bit. I know this is not a live YouTube live, so people can't respond. But I would request them to keep their answer in mind and then
Yeah.
then to compare it with what I'm saying. So I actually did this experiment, okay, with people across India.
Let me repeat the question. What was that one turning point which
Shaped Indian history.
history? Okay.
Okay, so so people told, okay, some said that Battle of Plassey, okay, where British took over Mughal Empire. Some said, that Battle of Panipat. You know, some were, little older history knowledge. They said Ghori's attacks. Okay, fine. All will come to that. Whether the answers are right, wrong, etc. Will come to that. But 90% of answers were of that kind. Okay, so now let me ask another question to you. You remember this T20 World Cup that India recently won against South Africa? Okay. Tell me the turning point of that match. So 90% of people will say that catch that Surya Kumar Yadav took on the boundary, right? That was the turning point. Or some say that Virat Kohli's fans say that okay, Virat Kohli's patient inning shaped it. Nobody says that okay, that one over where Akshar Patel was hit for 24 runs was a turning point, right? Or nobody says that okay, Rohit Sharma got out, that was the turning point. So why? Because in the end, India won that match. So your turning point has to be aligned to the final effect. Okay, then it becomes a turning point, right?
Okay.
Now come to the answers. All the answers that people tell about Indian history's turning point are those negative answers where somebody in India lost, somebody else took over. So that is our impression about our history. Okay, is that true? If we see India today, are we a lost civilization? No, right? Against all the odds, against 2,000 years of attacks that happened on us, eventually we are a stable, a growing, a powerful nation and a civilization. We,
Yes.
we fought against all those 2,000
100.
years and we conquered, eventually we are victorious, right? So now let me ask the question again. Now India eventually won as a nation that whole battle of 2,000 years. Now tell me what is that? What was one turning point in Indian history? I did this experiment also, and people are not able to tell. Some say that 1942, that Quit India movement, etc., etc. But they are also not very sure about it. So that's the pain. We have forgotten our victories. We have forgotten our heroes. We have forgotten actually what they did for us. So now let me tell you one turning point. Okay, and let's just validate. So the story goes like this. It is middle of 17th century. Okay, entire India is under the rules of these tyrants, Mughals in the north, and then all south, Adil Shah, Nizam Shah, everybody. Okay, the people are in pain. They have forgotten the word freedom. Okay, they are doing slavery. The noblemen are serving these tyrants, and then somewhere in Western Ghat, 20-year-old young kid, you know, he starts this rebellion. A small, a small couple of victories, etc. Now the clutches of these rulers is so much, they can't even tolerate that much. They send their biggest commander with 30,000 strong army to crush the 20-year young kid.
Talk about Shivaji Maharaj.
I was, yeah, yeah, it actually broke the suspense.
Okay.
But I'm talking of the story of Afzal Khan versus Shivaji Maharaj. Okay, Afzal Khan, the strong, capable commander, comes over, catches Shivaji, literally into his clutches, hugs him for death, the hug of death, as it called. Everybody thinks it's over. The small rebellion is over. And what happens at the end of that hug is unexpected. The 20-year-old kid tears apart, literally tears apart that commander. And not only that he tears apart that commander, he tears apart that belief that these tyrants cannot be defeated. Okay, and there starts that whole story, the whole rebellion much stronger. It ends, it goes for 100 years of war, eventually until Shivaji's kingdom is established. So that, my friends, was the turning point, right? That's how we have to see at our history. Because if we don't do that, then that inferiority complex will build up. Okay, so that is something that we need to overcome, and that is why we have to see these positive aspects. That was the pain. In even in my profession, I see, when globally people are interacting as Indians, we have that inferiority complex somewhere in our mind. That needs to be flushed, and for that our history has to be looked from a very, very different angle. And that's what this attempt is about.
Wow. So you also shared your favorite incident. Is it part of the book?
It is part of this book. Yeah, it is a story to really.
Okay, so it is part of volume one. By the
Yeah.
way, this is volume one. Okay. Uh, Let me give you a background. So I've also written a book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective Readers.
Right.
Uh, and at one point, there's a famous term in the writers community called writer's block, where you go blank and you're not just able to continue the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I found a solution to it
Mm.
was that I started asking questions to myself,
Mm.
and the answer happened to be the chapters.
Right.
So this was my personal solution to my writer's block.
Mm.
So did you face a writer's block, and then how did you overcome it?
Okay. See, I'm engineer by profession,
Okay.
So typically, when we start every project,
So you're a software engineer?
I'm a software engineer. I'm electrical engineer by education, but software engineer by profession. So when we start, any project, creation of any product, we'll go through a very elaborate project plan. We know what to do. What will be the objective. How we will run around it. But when it came to this book, it was totally different experience. Okay, I didn't plan anything. I could not plan anything. These chapters are also not written in the sequence. Okay, when something hit me, I started writing, and I was worried about the continuity, how one chapter will connect to other, how something else will come up, whether the whole thing will get written, in a proper sequence. Will it make sense? But I'll tell you my experience. You talked of writer's block. I had a totally different experience. Somehow, somewhere, somebody was filling in those gaps, telling me that story. You said I'm a storyteller. I'm not a storyteller. Storyteller has been somebody else. Sometimes he came in my dreams. He closed that particular gap. Somebody, sometimes early in the morning, something will hit me, and that gap will get closed. Again, if it's not a very long answer, I'll give you an example. Again, let's go back to that story of Afzal Khan and Shivaji Maharaj. Everybody knows that Shivaji Maharaj killed Afzal Khan by those tiger claws, right? So everybody knows it. What's different, right? What's so special? Why tiger claws? It could have been anything else. And then I kept reading, I kept a lot of material, and then I came to know that those tiger claws were gifted to Shivaji Maharaj by his elder brother. Very few know that Shivaji had an elder brother whose name was also Sambhaji, and he was killed by Afzal Khan treacherously. So before he was killed, when Shivaji Maharaj and Sambhaji, his elder brother met, they are very fond of each other. Sambhaji gave him that tiger claws. Okay, I said, fine, that is also a gift. How do I end that story? And then suddenly, that thought came to me. When Sambhaji gives those tiger claws to Shivaji, Shivaji asks, what this is? And Sambhaji says, I have casted a spell on it. When there is a time to use it, you will automatically know. And when Shivaji is actually using it, Afzal Khan, that memory of his brother comes back. So I don't think I thought about it. Okay, somebody
Okay.
else told me.
I think this is your modesty to say this. I mean, just not to, so that our viewers don't have a misconception that you have to be super talented to be an artist or a writer. I think your in-depth research, you read those ancient bukhars you said,
Correct.
which remained in their subconscious mind and then probably came into your dreams. So I think he is
Yes,
humble enough to say that he himself is not the storyteller. Uh, now, uh, one question that always worries me is that see, now we don't use swords anymore;
Mhm,
they're
mhm,
outdated. The
mhm.
recent India-Pakistan war was complete. It was there was no combat.
Correct,
It was all
correct,
drones and psychological
correct.
war and fake news.
Yes.
So, in this modern world, how can we have these stories accept as relevant, especially for the Gen Zs, for me, like millennials? Uh, if I try to give this book to a Gen Z
Hmm,
and say nothing
hmm,
about you,
hmm,
he will just refute it. No,
hmm,
it's
hmm,
outdated. Why
hmm,
should I read it?
hmm, hmm. Right. So again, a very good question, and I do want to
Sorry to
address.
be a little blunt, but this is this. I'm in
No,
touch
no,
with
no.
many readers, so I know.
Actually, it's very, very important question, and I do want to address our Gen Z. Why? That why question is very, very important. As you said, this is a time of globalization and AI, right? Everybody talks of artificial intelligence. And then there are people who say that in times of artificial intelligence, a 400-year story, the history doesn't have any relevance. I'll tell those people, the people who say that, they neither know artificial intelligence nor do they know history. What is artificial intelligence? It is about creating a decisive model from the historical data. So the word history is embedded in the definition of AI itself,
Hmm.
right? So that's, those models are created based on history. Now, when it comes to a nation, where will the information come from? Where the models will come from? Where will our role models come from? When we say Shivaji is our role model, his history, his story will guide us to decide what is right and wrong. Okay, that's what it is about. And again, when it comes to AI, it is not any data that you pump into it and then it will give a right result. There is a process of cleaning up that data. If data is right, output is right. Creating a right history is the process of creating that right data for our nation, for our people, for our next generation, so that they are able to take right decisions. I'll go one step further. Okay, so far we have been using these AI models from Google, from OpenAI, American models. And then suddenly someday comes a story that China developed DeepSeek and the entire world shook. right? Saying that, oh, now China developed this. Now China will be ahead of the race, right? So suddenly this topic of globalization becomes local. Whoever generates the right model, right local model will rule. And then people started talking about, making, can India make its own model? Now take this whole model story to our social, social dimensions. We have to build our own models to succeed in the world. Okay, that's what we did last few years. We tried to follow American models. That's where our Gen Z came out. Okay, looking at those models and I won't say copying, but following it. And what has happened today? Suddenly we can adopt a model. Will the model adopt us? Today, suddenly America is saying that, okay, Indians, please, decide. So, so we can.
Trump is already doing.
Correct, correct. I didn't want to take names, but see the situations. Typically for Gen Z, understand this world around us, understand these aspects. How world is changing, what we need to do, what we need to go back to our roots, what exactly we need to look for there. Okay, in context of these new terminologies of AI and globalization. Okay, when somebody says let's go back to the roots, it is not a chest thumping. It is not just because it's not a religious or cultural matter. Okay, this is going to impact our lives, where we build our models from, what history we look at, where we take our inspirations from, is very, very important for us to succeed in the times of globalization. So next time when somebody says history is not important, please tell him our history is great and it is important to us, and that is where we'll drive our inspirations from.
Superb. I think we all young readers should take his message very seriously because you are a rare combination of software engineering. So you know he is well abreast with the latest technology, and he has studied history. So I think what you said is I agree with it 100%. Now let's get deep into the inside the book, and I really want you to reveal some interesting stories. I'll just read out few chapter names. One we talked about the man of words, then two expeditions, beta, one storm after another, dead or alive, the game of patience in the muddy waters. I'm just reading randomly. So if you could just in short, no, again create a picture. Okay, I want
Yeah,
a
yeah.
full a movie of 5 minutes from you. It
Sure.
could be Shaji, Shivaji.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So the book starts with the chapter called Pledge. Okay, this pledge is the pledge that a 14-year young kid took along with, his equally young friends to liberate his nation from the clutches of these external invaders and free up a nation. Imagine a 14-year young kid doing it, and other 10, 15-year young kids agreeing to do that when they have absolutely nothing at their disposal. They knew what they're getting into and they did it. How he inspired them, how they really decide to go beyond their boundaries to make something happen for the larger good. That's where that first chapter starts, and then it goes into a kind of flashback. uh, Again, this part is, we say sone ki chidiya and all that story, and then you see any movie or any book, it will say India was a sone ki chidiya, and then suddenly it fall into the prey of this all external invaders and all. Okay, what happened in between, and why did it happen? Okay, what went wrong? So that part of the story, it almost goes into 50, 60 pages of this book. And I was wondering that this book is about Shivaji Maharaj, and for 60 pages, Shivaji Maharaj is not there, and people would not like it. Believe me, 50%, so many of the readers came back and tell me, thanks, you wrote that portion of the book, because it was completely blank to us. We say it was a great nation, and then suddenly, why did we lose? So that story, that flashback comes in, and then the book introduces us to these two great characters. Once we discussed about Shahaji, and then second, Shivaji's mother, Jizabai. What a character, guys! reading Jijabai's story and understanding it is equivalent to attending 10 parenting workshops.
100%.
Okay. So her patience, perseverance, that whole
That too, she was almost a single mother.
single
Because
mother,
Shaji was not
yes,
there.
yes, single mother. Her elder son had died in a battle. Why did she put her second son into the same battle? Right? For what greater good? What was that vision? And how did she do that upbringing? How did she take that risk? So today we say, our kids are not ready to take risks. Our kids are not ready to take risks because we are missing Jizabais in our society. So it starts with that. Then then birth of Shivaji, how he understands the situation.
One small event, if you could narrate
About
style.
Jizabai. I'll narrate event about Jizabai. I mean, there is a lot to it around it, but when Shivaji leaves for his battle against Afzal Khan, the battle of life, he's about to leave, and he knows that he may not come back. So he tells Jizabai that I'll try, but I may not come back. Jijabai says, perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. If you don't come back, I will raise your son, Sambhaji, to lead this battle. So think about that mind, think about it. And another thing, why we write this book and what happens, what impact it brings to the society. I'll tell you. So I did my engineering from this elite college, VJTI, if you know. And when I started education, my engineering, it was known as Victoria Jubilee Technical Institute.
VJTI.
And when I was in second, third year, its name changed to Veermata Jizabai Technical Institute. So people who were studying, students who were studying, they were from all over India, it's all elite students coming all over India. Not everybody knows local history, not everybody knows, who Jizabai is. So there was a general perception that, okay, some local name has been given for political purposes. Fine, that's how people took it. 30 years after that, when I wrote this book, one of my college mates who is now settled in US read this book, and then he sends this message all over WhatsApp, etc., saying that now when I read this book from Sandeep Shilke on Shivaji Maharaj, now I know who Jizabai actually was and what was her contribution to our nation's freedom. Now I'm proud that I studied from an institute which was named for against Jizabai's name. So that's the awareness that this book is supposed to bring, and I think it is succeeding in that.
Super.
So coming to the storyline, then it goes into Afzal Khan, etc. Then some great characters get introduced. I don't want to reveal everything, but there is a character called Phantom. Okay, he's the second Shivaji. What he does and what is his contribution, you will be amazed to see that.
You'll have to read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
how can the reader get this book? Is it available on Amazon?
It's available on all global platforms, including Amazon, Flipkart, across the world, around the world. It is available also in local bookstores, but I think Amazon would be the best place to have it.
Uh, one technical question. So I'm writing my next book, and I thought initially I used to type it on a Word document, but this time I'm changing my style. So now I just created a WhatsApp group and then asked my friend to leave that group so that I'm the only person in that group now. And then whenever I get ideas, I don't even type it. I speak. It's a speech to text. You all have that in your keypad, and then I just dump all those ideas there, and then the later part is just to modify it to keep it in order.
Correct.
So this is how I'm using the tools because this device is with us throughout the day. So I thought I should be using it to write the next book.
Correct.
I'm keen to know about your tools and techniques of writing the book.
Yeah.
For our budding.
Yes. Then I'm probably still from older generation. I tried that voice to text kind of thing, but then probably thoughts didn't come to my mind in that kind of flow.
So did you type or did you write?
I started with writing, but then I shifted to typing. That's far easier to correct it,
Right.
etc. But I have done everything. People say, old timer authors, they used to say that we used to write in the back of the bus ticket and those kind of things. I used to laugh, probably saying, okay, they're making the stories out. But when there are things in your mind, you have to suddenly something, as you said, suddenly something will, some thought will come to your mind. You don't want to lose it. So any cheat, anything that is available with you, or then the cell phone or whatever, you put down that thought, then you pull it.
Mhm.
I think that's how this has been.
Okay. You said you got a lot of responses. The readers who have already read your book.
Hmm.
One interesting response, uh, just to give you a clue. By the way, you have written only volume one now,
Correct.
and so are you going to any plans to come up with volume two, and any specific experience with a reader who has already read volume one?
Yeah. So, very, very interesting experience. We're talking about the storyline of the book, right? Uh, so when that whole battle of Afzal Khan is done, uh, we generally say that one victory leads to another victory. Shivaji's story is such that one victory led to five more challenges. Okay, so the book ends where some two big challenges start coming Shivaji's way. Okay, and it ends at a very interesting point, which leaves you to think, what next, kind of thing. So I wrote it, I ended it there. Um,
That's called a cliffhanger.
cliffhanger. It was a cliffhanger, and suddenly I got a phone call from a 10-year young kid saying that I read your book. I want to read that story, the next story. Where is your second volume? I searched all over, but second volume I could not see. So please, I said I've not written the second volume yet. But kid was literally angry on me.
And
how,
then,
how could you do that? What next? Now, how do I know what next? And I want to read it right away. Finally, what he said is, wherever you have written those rough notes, etc., etc., please give it to me. I can't wait for the second volume. So I eventually had to console him, and I said that, okay, when I write the second volume, I'll gift it to you. Okay, so have a patience
nice.
for a minute.
So I think I should take back the question of Gen Z. He's not even a Gen Z. He was the next
Use
Alpha.
the alpha.
I think the
Yes,
next generation
yes,
is Alpha.
yes,
So that's a very good
yes,
news.
yes. Second experience, because it is a global book, I deliberately want to share it with our people. So, because I wanted it to be a global narration, in its draft stage, I shared it with some unknown readers in US, in Europe, just in draft stage
Okay.
over WhatsApp.
Non-Indians.
Non-Indians, Americans, Germans, and some of them read it, and they called me back on WhatsApp and spoke with me for maybe a couple of hours, some of them. Okay, trying to know about this story. And one comment that they made is, all these years we kept listening to story of Westerners. Okay, and we didn't know, we were in the dark, that non-Western world has their own heroes, they have their own stories, and those are equally or more interesting. So the question they asked, very interesting question, why was this not told before? Okay, we say they don't know our stories. The real question is, when did we tell them? Okay, we wrote stories on Shivaji Maharaj, or we wrote it in English also. But when it goes to a global scale, it has to be a global narration. The story has to be written the way they would understand it, the way they will be able to relate it. And that is why the name of this first volume is Resurgence of the Oppressed, because that is the global storyline of the entire history of the world. Okay, you take 2000 years of history, the single line in which it can be described is the fight of oppressed against oppressors. Okay, whether you take American freedom struggle, you take French Revolution, anything. So you have to write our stories in that fashion that they are able to relate, because that's what Shivaji's story is. So and so that's about the feedback, and those feedbacks have been written in the last pages of the book. I think it's worth reading. How
Yeah.
we connect the world by the same story.
I'm glad you wrote this book in English, and no wonder. So you proudly call it as a global novel. I think let's come to the last stage of our discussion. A final word for our prospective readers, a message from you,
Mm.
who is an expert, who is proud of Shivaji Maharaj. A final message. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so we talked about Gen Z. We talked about this book written in English. This book is for everybody. This book is for a Maharashtrian. This book is for an Indian, who is in Bengal, Calcutta, Kashmir, Tamil Nadu, um, everywhere. Um, so my request will be, you start reading this book. Okay, don't have that inhibition that this is in history, this is written in English. Start reading this book. Read it for first 7 8 pages. After that, you will forget that this book is written in English. That is the actual experience readers told me. Once you get into that storyline, you forget what language this is, whether it is history. You will flow through it. That's my uh, my word to you. Okay, if you don't see that happening, let me know. So that's about reading it. We talked about why we should read it, right? Um, if you read it, if you like it, don't keep that thought to yourself. Okay, I'm not an author by profession. My purpose was not to become author. My purpose was not to make this book bestseller or anything like that. Okay, so the sales doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is this message being passed from people to people, from generations to generations. Let your kids read it. Let your friends read it. Give it to your friends' kids. Give it to your friends outside Maharashtra, somewhere in India, outside India, in the world. People would want to know, people would appreciate knowing it. People will make an image about us, as a civilization, as a country, when they understand what we have gone through and how we overcome. So that's basically the message. Um, so there is a chapter in this book again about Jizabai. Okay, in the extreme situation where her father and her brother are killed in Nizam Shahi's core brutally. Okay, and Shahaj is present and he cannot do anything because he is
He's
working for,
serving.
yeah.
He's serving.
So Jizabai gets frustrated and she says that now it's not, you cannot do it. You guys cannot do it. Now it is up to me. Now I will give birth to a son, okay, who will free this nation from the clutches. He is the one who will shed his blood for this nation. And from that blood will raise, and very, very important for everybody to understand. She doesn't say that new warriors will be born from that blood. What she says is hundreds of artists will be born from that blood. And those artists will tell the story of my son to the generations that will come. Okay. Because warriors will come and go. The art that artists will create, the books that authors will write, they will stay for generations. People will take, messages from that, and then they will stand to the challenges that will come towards them. So I think I'm just one such artist that was born from the
Wow.
blood that was shed by Shivaji and his disciples.
Super. Thank you so much for being that artist that Ijabai wanted. And thank you for coming here. I think our viewers are already curious to get their hands on your book. So I'll just show the cover finally. The King Shivaji Chronicles, Volume 1, written by Sandeep Sherke. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for coming here and sharing such great thoughts and ideas with us. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much, Amrut.
Yes.
Glad. I think very right questions that gave me opportunity to speak my mind. So thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you so much. Happy reading and bye bye.
I know viewers of this channel are avid readers. So, specially for you, we have created a link in the description of this video. You can click that link and enter your phone number. Our team will get in touch with you to arrange an author's copy, which will be at far lesser price than that of Amazon. This will also give us an opportunity to communicate for any of your feedbacks and suggestions. Thank you.